Siree is a leadership coach and health coach, and her mission is to help people grow into their God-given potential while stewarding their health as a resource to serve others as long as possible. She provides tools and resources that empower leaders to thrive. Her programs, built on the pillars of active living, nourishment, and rest, go beyond weight loss to cultivate a fulfilling life. So she's married to Sam, who's also here, very supportive husband, and she's also a mother of 3 children, and I admire that because I'm also a mother of 3, and I know it's very difficult. But yeah, Siree, please come up. Thank you so much for being here.
Good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
My name is Siree, and thank you, Emmy, for inviting me to talk about biblical business building and personal branding. So when I have these opportunities to share about whatever topic, it's easy to kind of go to default mode. What do I share about myself? What do I share about my business? What do I share about my experience? But actually, the questions that I should be asking is actually, what is God already doing here, and how can I add value? What is God already doing, and how can I add value? And I really pray that today, as I'm sharing, that you will really have some takeaways. You already see there's a little worksheet in there that we're going to do some work together as much as we can within half an hour. Some of these workshops that we do take days, but it's kind of just a glimpse. You're not going to do everything here, but take it home and take some time to reflect on these things. So I pray that as I'm sharing, you would hear that it's God working through us, working through Sang, myself, our business, Fulfill Purpose Coaching, and Arise Pickleball. So I'm going to share what God has been doing in the space of Arise Pickleball. And it's been an adventure. Amazingly, this is something that we never thought we'd get into. Pickleball, I didn't even know what pickleball was last December, last 2022. I had no idea what pickleball was until Sang described it to me. And as a leadership coach, health coach, I had worked with female leaders. Let me just share a little bit about why I became a health coach, and then I'll go into the pickleball side of things. So leadership coaching, I was working with female leaders, one-on-one, doing workshops, building teams, things like that. And I realized that a lot of these female leaders had very poor work-life harmony. I don't like to use the word work-life balance because it makes you feel like you have to choose between work and life. Like work is part of life, so how does that make sense of work-life balance? So I use the word work-life harmony. A lot of female leaders are trying their best to be either wife, mom, leaders in the workplace. They're trying to stand out, and females do have this extra, need to try to be present. And today we're talking about a little bit about personal branding as well, to be able to share your giftings so you can add value to other people. But what I realized was that a lot of people have health issues, right? They're sacrificing their health and they're paying for it. They have to go to the doctor, they take sick leave, and they feel guilty. So there's this vicious cycle that female leaders have a specific problem with, and they're dealing with. And so for me, I like working out, I like health, and I realized that as a child of God, our health is actually one of the resources we need to steward well. We need to manage well. Your talent is a resource, your money is a resource, your health is also a resource. So I did the due diligence, got my certification, all sorts of things to be able to do health coaching. And so we were doing health coaching, and the Sang told me, hey, have you heard about pickleball? I said, pickleball? What is pickleball? It sounds so funny. But actually, when I first started playing, I was like, wow, this is really fun. An hour of pickleball, I'm like burning 400 calories. And you don't even feel like you're working out. When you're like telling somebody to go walk or jog, they don't really like doing that. They kind of dread doing that. It's not, for me, walking and jogging is fine, but when you're telling your clients to go walk and jog, not many people want to do it. But then you invite them to go play pickleball, you're like, hey, you're burning calories, you're having fun, and you're making new friends. So long story short, we got into the pickleball business around March last year, and it has been an adventure ever since. It's really like nothing else I've ever done before. Sang and I have made new friends, new connections, more than we've ever made in a span of 1 year. So it's been about 1 year, from March to this March. And it's been a surprising adventure. From this business of pickleball is so unique, more than anything we've ever experienced. Sang and I have been in the food manufacturing business. I've been actually in the motion picture business, not in front of the camera, but way behind the camera. I was doing contracts and doing distribution deals, things like that. I worked for a foundation, I worked for skincare, we were doing ministry, and now leadership, coaching, and now pickleball. But God has really led us every step of the way. It's been so surprising how when we said yes to God to try pickleball, to make pickleball paddles available, it became more than just a business about paddles and equipment, but it really became a business about people. And this was actually the launch, and a lot of you were here. Thank you for supporting us at the launch. Last year, we had this little mini, Ben was our MC, so thank you, Ben. You did a really, really great job. This is actually the Importier. We had a little mini pickleball court. This was like beyond a dream. Never had I thought that we would do this in the middle of Importier. When we started the pickleball business, I was like, okay, there's a need here, and we need to bring pickleball paddles. Okay, it can start like a side online business. So that was easy enough. And then God was calling out to do more and more. And God was already doing something. The question we asked, God, what are you already doing here? So pickleball in Bangkok actually started off at a church in Lat Pao, Santisu, English school. This was like 6-7 years ago. The Thai Pickleball Association started there. So there are a lot of Christians players already. And they play in the parking lot Saturday and Sundays. And this little community were producing the top pickleball players. They play competitively, nationally, internationally. They were sending these people to compete in Taiwan, Bali, Nepal, Philippines. So God was already doing something. So when we went there to learn pickleball, we're like, okay, this is really exciting. What is going on? And we felt like God was giving us this baton to continue to take. And so as newbies in this business, we're total newbies. We just learned to play. So just to look back, it's been such a miracle to see how God put these people in our lives to build the Arise Pickleball brand as already a trusted brand in the pickleball universe in Thailand. Because we've had 2 tournaments in November, just at the 1st of March and 2nd of March this month, we just had our 2nd tournament. So just to look back, as I'm sharing this, I'm kind of in awe, like, wow, God, how did this happen? It's been so surprising. But you know, let's go back to the part of business building. When Emmy asked me to talk about this, I was like, okay, business building, and we talked about how to do a business plan, how to come with the right product, how to do marketing. But then she asked me to talk specifically about personal branding, which is actually very important. Because to establish as a newbie brand, we're totally new to this market, we're new to the people. I have to say though, the people are super welcoming, the original community who are playing pickleball, they're just so welcoming, they're very helpful, teaching us how to play. But then I knew that that wasn't enough. To let it grow organically without being intentional is not enough. You have to be intentional when you're building your brand. Otherwise, if you don't tell people what you do, you don't tell them who you are, how are they going to know about you? So we have to be intentional about building a Arise Pickleball brand as a trusted brand. And the brand for any company depends on the founders, right? For any brand to be trusted, it depends on the founders. So I encourage you to look at your personal values. Maybe as you're thinking today, you know, how do I build my personal brand? Maybe it's in the service sector. Maybe you're offering a product. Maybe you're trying to build your personal brand within your department or within your company. Maybe it's not your own business, but you still have to be able to communicate what your strengths are, your giftings are. So to look at what is my personal branding, we need to step back and ask yourself, what are my personal values? And it's very important as Christ followers that we have to be connected to Christ. Our values, our thoughts, our thinking, our beliefs, our decisions, all have to be connected to Christ, because without Jesus, we can do nothing. Without Jesus, we can do nothing. Without Jesus, all this is meaningless. Talking about personal branding is meaningless. Talking about your business is meaningless. Talking about your job is meaningless. Everything has to be connected to Christ. And as you're thinking about your personal values, you need to pre-decide. Because in business, you're going to have decisions that tempt you. Temptations that want to lead you astray. So pre-decide before those decisions come your way who you are and who you are not. And that means daily internal work. Every single day, doing daily internal work, deciding what personal disciplines will help me sustain my personal values. Your personal values are things that are meaningful to you. Think of the issues in the world that really tug at your heart. issues in the world that are meaningful to you. Those will connect you with your values. And pray away the fear. And this is something I do every single morning. I have to pray away the fear of man, because when you're in the world, there will be people who are your stakeholders that are not Christian. They don't believe what you believe. They don't have the same faith. They don't have the same values as you. And they may push back when you have certain opinions, when you have certain decisions. So pray away the fear of man. You don't want to please everybody. You want people to respect you, but you don't want to please everybody. So pray that away. And know that you're a child of God and you're not a slave to the world. Let me share with you, this will take a while for you to maybe come up with your personal values if you've never done this before. So you can do this at home, but let me share what our values are. These values are actually the same that we have at home, we have in our kitchen. So it's GIFT, G-I-F-T. It's an acronym that stands for generosity for impact, faith over fear in decision making and obedience, and T, true to mission. G-I, generosity for impact, not just generosity because we want to make merry, not because we want to feel good about ourselves, but generosity, making those decisions to be generous for impact, for something specific. Always have faith over fear when we're making decisions and wanting to be obedient to God. And true to mission, what does that mean? What is our mission? As disciples, our mission is to go and make disciples of all nations and baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. That should be true to mission. It can be unsaid. I mean, these things, we say, this is my company vision is values are G-I-F-T, but I don't necessarily say everything out loud, right? But this is something that as Christ followers, we have to keep in the back of our mind. What is my mission? Really, what is my true mission that with eternal impact? That is to share the gospel and make disciples. And so as you think about this, you may take a day or two, and Sang and I are ECBers, so Sang is a wonderful leadership coach. He asks great questions, he can help tease these things out. So get in touch with Sang if you have any questions about working out your values. Brand building, as we build our brand, we have our personal values. We are intentional about allowing our personal values to be displayed in our work, in our brand. We need to know how to build trust, right? It's fine and great for you to know what my values are. It's fine, but I know I want to be generous, I want to impact people, I want to have faith, I want to be true to mission. But now you have a business, you need to make sales, you got to get income. How do you build your brand in a way that is biblical and honoring of God and honoring of your values? And brand building, business building is really about trust. Maybe some of you have heard about the Johari window. I know that a lot of Christians feel like, oh, I don't want to tell people what I do, what I'm good at, or I've been invited to speak here. I don't want to post any of that because, I don't want to boast. I want to be humble. But if you don't tell them, matter of fact, this is an opportunity I have, this is something I can do, then people will know this is a value you can add to them. This is a service you can give to people. So the Johari window, you have firstly the top left window there, the public arena or the open arena. This is something that's known to you and known to others. This is basically how you interact with the world. People know who you are, what you do, you know what you do, you know who you are. And then there are things that are private, and that's up to each person to serve and what you keep to yourself. You don't have to share everything with the world. There's a private world. But the dangerous part is the blind spot. The blind spot is what is not known to you, but is known to other people. What is not known to you, I don't know this about myself, but they know this about me. See how that can be a danger? Because you can be doing things, the way you say things, the way you present yourself, the way you interact with other people. You have no idea that that's rubbing people the wrong way. And if people don't tell you, you can never change that. And that's where self-awareness is super important. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So you want to minimize that blind spot. And then unknown, this is basically, you don't know this about yourself, nobody knows this about yourself. An easy example, do I like skydiving? I don't know, I've never skydived before. So that's something I don't know, you don't know. Sang before, he never had sushi until he met me. So he didn't know if he liked sushi until he tried sushi. So this area will be minimized after you have different life experiences. That's not really something that's really concerning in coaching, but in coaching, we try to help our clients, especially branding, increase the public arena as they feel comfortable by minimizing the blind spot. As you're increasing this public arena, you're minimizing your blind spots by increasing self-awareness. I love assessments. There are specific assessments that we use. My favorite is Hogan. It's super extensive. It lets you know your right side, where you excel, conditions where you excel, and your best comes out. It lets you know your dark side or slash derailers. When you're squeezed, the bad stuff comes out. What are those bad stuff that comes out when you're pushed into a corner? And then also your values. So Hogan is very useful in coaching to increase self-awareness for our coachees. And then there's a 360. I'm sure most of you know 360 to increase your self-awareness, and this is pretty straightforward. And the latest one, most recently, I discovered the Working Genius, which is super helpful as well, because this one tells you what your genius are. We can operate out of our genius, but if you do that for a long, long time, you get drained, you get burned out, because that's not your genius. But if you're working in your genius, work doesn't actually feel like work. My working genius is actually enablement and invention. I like to enable people, I like to support people, I like to equip people with tools and resources, and also create stuff, invent stuff, put things in here together to create tools. And you'll see one of the tools I created today as well. So that's what I love doing. My frustrating area is actually galvanizing. Like reeling people up, come on, like herding sheep. Come on people, let's go that way, let's go that way. That's very exhausting for me. So for me, to know that that's not my role, to be a politician, to hurt people to do stuff, I know that's my frustration. I don't want to go there, so I will stick to my genius and be happy doing what I like. So I have a special gift for somebody. If you reach under your seat, if you have a Post-it that says, "Hey Genius," you get this free assessment that I'll do with you. The Working Genius assessment.
You go to the empty chair.
Hey! Yay! What's your name again? Shauna? Cheryl. Yay, congratulations. So get in touch with me after the session, give me your email and everything. Then I'll send you the assessment to do, and then you'll figure out what your geniuses are. Usually there is a pair that you're able to really be aware. Okay, I feel like I hate my job. Maybe you're working in your frustration every day, day in, day out, and that will basically decrease your blind spot. So the idea is that you want to be able to share with other people in your public arena so that people can trust you. Because if you don't share with people, people aren't going to know you. And if they don't know you, how can they trust you? You can't expect people to trust you if you're not sharing. So the less blind spots you have, the more open area you have, the more likely people can step into that window and see who you are, what you offer, what value you can add. But are you too shy to share? Are you too shy to open that window just a little bit more? Sometimes we think that, oh, I'm shy, I don't want to share because I want to be humble. I want to be humble, I want to keep this to myself, I don't want to boast. But did you know that shyness, or thinking all that about yourself, the ability to not get over your shyness is actually a form of self-centeredness? Are you actually thinking more about yourself than other people? Because you're so afraid of what people will think of you that you're not sharing, and you're actually sabotaging your acts of service. So when you are so self-centered, you're thinking about yourself so much, worried what people think, what people will say about you, whether people would judge you, you're actually sabotaging your acts of service and sabotaging your success. So I have this quiz for you that I created, a really quick quiz to increase your self-awareness about this topic. Take only 5 minutes, just really answer the things that come up on the top of your mind.
Picking them up. Anybody want it? Yeah. I'm gonna give you this. That's it. Here you go. bubble. Here we go.
You're not going to have to share the results with anybody, so don't worry.
Moderately self-centered. Raven hot.
Okay, so you can reflect at home in results. When I do this, some people are really surprised how self-centered they are. Because self-centered, it just means that you're just thinking about yourself more than other people, right? So when you're thinking about yourself more, you can't get over yourself. You're not going to want to share or be out there, put yourself out there to serve, even when God's telling you to go and serve. Okay, so everybody got their numbers. You don't have to share with anybody, but we're all kind of moderately. It's okay to be moderately self-centered, right? It's okay to be moderately thinking about yourself. That's a natural thing, but it takes God supernaturally to help us get over ourselves. That's why I tell myself. That's why I tell my kids, just get over yourself, right? Get over what you think about yourself, because people aren't thinking about you as much as you're thinking about you. That's really the honest truth. So take the quiz, write the reflection. See if this works. If they don't know you, they can't trust you, right? Building business is about building trust. So think about that Shahari window. Think about expanding that window as much as you can towards the side where your blind spots are. Increasing self-awareness so people know what you offer, because you do have value to offer. I do believe that each one of you here has a gift, has a strength, has some value to offer people, to serve other people. And then when they do come in through that window, they see you, whatever you post on Facebook, whatever you share publicly, will they see Christ at the center of your life? Will they see Christ when they see who you are? And that's your responsibility to make sure they do see Christ. Do you want to play the game? Business, think of it as a game. Social media is like a game. Marketing is like a game. There are rules. There are things you do to win points. There are things you do to gain exposure in a good way. Do you want to play the game? If God's giving you a talent, a value, a gift to give to others, God's asking you to use that platform. Think of the platform God's given you to share in word and in deed. Social media is an amazing tool if you use it the right way. Do you want to play the game that God's asking us? Do you want to show people what I've been doing in your life? Do you want to use the tools available to you to show people how you've grown in faith as I've directed you? And if yes, say, here I am, send me. And that posture, that attitude is faith-driven, is Christ-centered, is a posture of obedience, a posture of dependence on God, and it's demonstrating that you are disciplined and ready to let people in that window to see, hey, yeah, this is all God. But if you're still too shy, you can't get over yourself, you're telling God, no, Lord, let me sit this one out. Who here has played sports in school? I played basketball, right? You practice. Day in, day out, you practice. And when the game comes, you say, oh, I don't want to play, I want to sit this one out. Nobody does that. You're part of the team. Are we part of the team? We are part of the team. God's telling us, I want you to play. I want you to demonstrate my goodness. I want you to demonstrate I've been faithful. I want you to demonstrate your excellence that you've gained through the years as you depended on me. So don't say, no, Lord, I want to sit this one out, because that's fear-driven, that's self-centered, that's actually disobedient, and it shows a spirit of independence from God. And you're being actually very distracted and hesitant to what God's calling you to do with your giftings. What tools, social media platforms do you have in your hands today? We as Christians, we're doing excellent work in the marketplace. Share, talk about it. Don't just sit this one out. But when you do share, don't share everything. Not every single little thing that happens here has to be shared, right? Discern when and what. We want to share the good news. We want to share vulnerabilities. We want to share lessons we learned. Even when you're, changing your profile picture. I have a habit of when I change my profile picture, I better say something. I'm not just going to put my face up there and not say anything. Like, what's the point of that? Right? We have an opportunity. There's a way to upload your new profile picture and share a little bit about what's happening, glorifying God, pointing to God. And when you're thinking about what you want to share, what you want to write, think of the acronym THINK. Is it true to mission? Usually this true is just true. Is it true? Well, hopefully what you're sharing is true. But I want to add that, is it true to mission? What is the mission? To share the gospel in word and deed. Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Think about what you want to share. There can be good news that maybe you don't share. There's the other side of the coin too. Because people might be going through something really difficult, and if you're sharing that, you know that person you care about is going through something difficult, and you're sharing something good, it may actually discourage them. So ask God for discernment. You don't have to share every anniversary. You don't have to share about everything. I mean, Sang and I have had anniversaries that we don't always share because we know that maybe this person is going through a difficult time in their life right now with their romantic relationships, and if we share, they're definitely going to see, and so that can discourage them. So really pray, discern what and when to share. And I love this quote by Leonard Ravenhill from the book When Revival Tarries. The two prerequisites to successful Christian living are vision and passion. The two prerequisites to successful Christian living are vision and passion, both of which are born in and maintained by prayer. To have a successful business, successful professional life in your career, you need vision. You need to ask God for that vision. You need to have passion, fueled by the Holy Spirit, and cover that in prayer, maintain that in prayer. Everything you do. So here are some recommended resources. I chose just a selection. Show Your Work was really important for me when I was doing a multimedia design business, because it was all about art and branding, visual graphics, things like that. Show Your Work is so good because, you know, if you're an artist, no artist likes to show their work before it's finished. But this book encourages you to do that, to invite people along for the ride. Hey, this is the process. This is what I'm doing. And people will see behind the scenes, lift the veil a little bit, open up that Johari window a little bit so people can see your work, show your work. Really recommend this one. Intentional Living by John C. Maxwell. Everything we do, there is an eternal impact, so be intentional. Because one day we're going to stand in front of the King of Kings and we're going to have to give an account. And I pray that we will hear, well done, good and faithful servant, because we're intentional in doing good work and giving glory to our God. Surprise the World, Pastor Phil recommended this, such a good book. Surprise the World, like there's so many things we can do to display the glory and the excellence of God in the world. Really good. Purple Cow, also encouraging, you love that. You do not need permission to share your stuff. I love that takeaway. That was my takeaway from Purple Cow. Be different. It's okay. You don't need to wait for somebody to invite you. Hey Siri, will you do this? Hey Sang, will you do this? You don't, if you have something to give it to the world. You don't need to wait for that red carpet. You don't need for that invitation in the mail and say, hey, can you do this for me? If you have something to give, God gives you a calling, do it, obey. And mission drift, as we're doing all this, you're in the world, we don't want to be of the world. It can be so tempting when people lure you with things. They don't mean to drift you away from your mission because they don't really know what your mission is, but we need to be aware of what our mission is. And so be aware not to drift slowly. It's a slow drift. Just be careful. That's why community is important. That's why this kind of gathering is important, because you are keeping each other accountable. You're keeping each other aware of what you're doing. And then have the courage in a loving way to say, hey, maybe this is really what God's calling you to. If you see somebody kind of drifting away, be that person, be that friend to be courageous enough to correct the course, help nudge them back. Podcasts, great for traffic, great for the mornings, great for when you're working out. These two I recommend. I listen to a bunch, but these two I really recommend for this context. The Working Genius podcast by Patrick Lencioni, the guy who designed the Working Genius assessment. Think Fast, Talk Slow, really good. Helps you think all the good stuff to listen to during traffic. So now the next section is the speed networking session that you're going to have to ask. You're going to ask each other, right? You're going to be asked, what do you do? And in real life, people do ask this of you too. What do you do? I don't want you to answer what you do, because then you can end up with just getting a list of credentials and your products and specs and all that. That's not how you sell stuff. When people ask you, what do? You answer the question, What outcomes do your clients achieve by working with you? What outcomes do your clients achieve by working with you? So example, if you ask me, what do I do? As a health coach, I would say my clients are able to implement positive, doable habits on a regular basis to improve their energy and lower stress. And most women over 30 are able to actually decrease and lose fat over a period of 6 weeks if they stick to my program 70% of the time. So you hear, I didn't say my credentials, I didn't say everything, but I told you what my clients get. What's the outcome? People ask me what I do, that would be my answer. Pickleball. What do you do? I import pickleball paddles. Not so interesting, right? What do I do? Sang and I, our clients are equipped with competitive level pickleball paddles so that people can have more wins in their games. And we also have family-friendly sets, budget-friendly, so people can spend their time connecting with friends and family over exercise. So think about what you're going to say when people you're sitting in that room. I mean that's where people are going to be sitting doing the speed networking. So you have to tell people what you do, but answer the question, what the outcomes your clients get when they work with you. And you have some action steps in every coach, after every coaching session. At the end, you need to be leading with some action steps. 1, 2, 3, we may not have time to do that today, but if you have time, to really quickly put down, what am I going to do today to build my brand? Think about the quiz, the self-centeredness quiz, think about a Johari window. What are some doable things you can take away from today? And if you want to continue the conversation with me, my email is siree@fbcoaches.com. You can also scan this QR code to access the entire deck of slides for reference for later. Well, thank you so much. This has been really great. Thank you, Emmy, for the invitation. Have fun in the speed networking.
Thank you so much, Siree. That was a lot to take in for 30 minutes, but so much good information there. I think most of us probably need a bit of time to process all that, but we just want to give you now maybe,